Hello, everybody, and good evening. Okay, I feel like that's a little better. I should have done that when I was on Instagram. Maybe not. All right. You know what? This is why I don't like to do these lighting things. Oh, that's too dark. All right. You know what? We're just gonna be like that right here tonight because I don't know what to do. All right. So I wanted to talk about my experience last night at a swingers club, and maybe if I turn it down some. My experience last night at a swingers club and the difference between fast food, store bought sex versus homemade sex. So here's the thing. All right, so a friend of mine has a new roommate who wanted to go and experience a swingers club last night, and I've gone to clubs before. I like to go to watch. I'm not a big participant because random sex like that just isn't my thing. But I like to go, especially as someone who works in the field of sexuality and sensuality and tantra and things like that. How people have sex has always been interesting to me. So we went, but the swingers part itself was not actually the most interesting part of the evening to me. What was the most interesting part of the evening to me was the porn that they had playing at the event. When you go to some swingers places, they'll have porn in the background as a way to kind of get people excited about sex or get people wanting to have sex or something like that. And I'm trying to get the light out of my eyes a little bit. And so I'm watching this video and I'm watching these people engage, and I'm looking at porn from through a new lens. So let me say, I don't think porn in and of itself is intrinsically bad. If you're looking for really good, hey, good evening. If you're looking for really good quality porn, I recommend Royal Fetish Films. That's Jet Setting Jasmine and King Noir. They've got really good porn. They talk about porn. They have kids. They talk about porn with kids. Like how to talk to kids about porn, type of thing. So I highly recommend them. So what I noticed in watching the porn is how, as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, so there are men and women who watch these movies and then they think this is how sex is. Especially young people, right? Because no one's having conversations with young people. I don't want to say no one, but not enough people or people that they know are having conversations with them about sex. Like, there are conversations about consent, which is great, but there's still no conversation about sex. So it looks like you get consent from someone, like, yes, let's have sex together, and then you go have sex together, but you haven't had a conversation about the type of sex you want to have. So even though you've agreed to have sex, you have crappy sex. Like, who signs on for that, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is how men get the idea that women want to be stabbed when they're fingered, right? This is how men get that idea that they've got to pound it. This is how they get the idea that women need to squirt. They're watching the videos and they think, oh, okay, this must be what it is. Especially the boys. This must be what it is. I'm thinking from the female's point of view, okay, so I'm watching porn as a youngster. Oh, this is what it is. She just takes it. That's it. She didn't really have any say in what's going on. And so young women and girls and even older women are coming into sex not saying what they want, not saying what they like, not saying what they need, and expecting that somehow men are supposed to know what to do with a woman's body. And men don't know what to do with a woman's body. And men aren't supposed to know what to do with a woman's body. We're supposed to tell them. Because it's our body. We're supposed to tell them. What we're not supposed to do is lay there during sex and just take it and then use our toy afterwards because we didn't enjoy ourselves, because we didn't tell him that we didn't enjoy ourselves. And he assumed that we did. I like soft porn or realistic looking. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, so stupid. That's like the dumbest porn to me ever. Amateur porn is really cool because it's like actual people having sex. And actual people having sex is the whole point to me of going to a swingers club, to see that. And then for those who actually want to have sex with them, then that's fine too. And so I'm looking at this and I'm realizing that communication is one of the biggest issues that we're having when it comes to having really good sex. People aren't talking about what they like, what they want, what they need, what they desire. Women certainly aren't having enough of those conversations, because if we were, we wouldn't run to use a toy after we've had sex with someone. And I'm not against toys. I think toys are great. But I think if you're having sex with someone and then you go use a toy after sex because you weren't satisfied, and you don't tell your partner that you weren't satisfied, that's on you. That's not your partner's fault or problem. However, I will say, for the men, and so I had this conversation with one of my sons. My son was asking me about sex. My middle son. He was asking me about sex, and he was asking me about technique and things of that nature. And so we were having a conversation about it. And he was saying that boys should have these conversations with their mothers because mothers have women's bodies, and that they could tell their sons better, the parts of a woman's body and maybe how not to treat them and maybe what to do. And I agreed with him. And I think especially as mothers, we can do that without saying, well, this is what I did last night. Well, this is what I did with your father, or this is what I did with my boyfriend. Like, we don't have to give them details, but we can certainly say, in my experience, women don't seem to like this. Or, here are the parts of a woman's body that maybe you should know about. Because men naturally want to please a woman in the bedroom. Men naturally want to bring that pleasure to their partner. But if we leave it up to them thinking that they're somehow supposed to know, that's on us. Now, for the men, I will say it's important to ask. I don't like toys for hands, fingers, and mouths. I like human flesh as well. Now, for the men, I will say this, and I explained this to my son. I said, if you really want to have great sex, you're going to have a lot of communication. You need to talk before, during, and after. You talk about sex beforehand. What do you like? What don't you like? What would you like to experience? And I say, guaranteed, most women have not had those questions asked. And so just because you ask them the question, they're already thinking that they're going to have great sex with you, right? During sex, is this okay? Is it too hard? Because if she says, I like it hard and fast, that may not mean the same to you, right? You're going hard and fast, and she's like, a little softer and slower, please, because that's not what she had in mind. So you have to ask questions during sex. And then you ask questions after sex. How was that for you? Is there anything that you would have liked me to do differently? And that's both ways, right? This is not the guy asks all the questions and she doesn't ask any, because there could have been something that she could have done differently. If a woman isn't making any sound, it's probably a good indicator to ask her what's going on. Don't just plug away and assume that she's being quiet and just thinking to yourself, she's just quiet, man. She's not making no noise. Ask her, is everything okay? Is this feeling all right? If a woman's hands are on her chest or like this and you're on top of her, she might be trying to keep you off her. Maybe she's not enjoying herself as much. If her hands are at her pelvis and she's doing the same thing, she might not be enjoying herself as much. And so you want to ask her. You always want to ask. And the reason why is because women have been programmed not to talk about sex as much as men have. And so unfortunately, women aren't going to be as forthcoming because there's still this idea that if she talks about sex too much, that she's going to be seen as some whore or some slut. Y'all sit down and she's like, all right, so let's talk about sex. And you're like, what? Yeah, so I really want to have sex with you, right? I'm really attracted to you. And I wanted to talk about the things that I really like to have happen when I have sex. I mean, that's really what we need to be doing. You don't have to say it like I just said it. But as a woman, that's what you want to do. I don't care if it's a one-night stand. I don't care if you meet somebody at a bar. Again, consent is great. But consent to what exactly are you consenting to? Are you consenting to his penis just plugging away in your vagina? Are you consenting to having a great experience that you both walk away from? So after you've both established that you'd like to have sex with each other and you've agreed to do so, Does that mean that you're going to provide him with oral sex? Is he going to provide you with oral sex? Maybe he likes teeth. Maybe he doesn't. Are you going to swallow or not? Because, there's nothing worse than thinking that she's going to swallow and then she spits it out and you're like, yo, what the fuck? Y'all got to talk beforehand. Yes, it's a lot of work. Sex is a very mature activity. It should not be done by people who want to have fast food store-bought sex. So, and women often don't even know how to answer. That's right. It can take time for her to even realize she doesn't like something. So keep asking yes, 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 and yes. And this is why it's important. I was just on Instagram and I was saying that a lot of women don't know what they like. And especially if she hasn't had sex yet, she doesn't know. Sex is wonderful experimentation. But she may not know, which is why, again, the questions are important. Men definitely need to offer some sound. Hello. They're so very important. That's a whole nother lie. So very important that men need to offer sound. Otherwise, for us, we might just think that we're just like a blow-up toy doll. And nobody wants to have sex feeling like that. So fast food store-bought sex versus homemade sex, because as I was wrapping up on Instagram, it came to my mind. So I used to bake bread. And I love the smell of fresh baked bread. And if you've ever had fresh baked bread, it's dense, right? It's like you could eat one slice of it and you're like, you're good. Like you just feel all the bread. When you get store-bought bread, you can eat half that shit in a half-hour setting. You toast it, you butter it, you toast it, you butter it. It's like cotton candy. Right? Because it's not real bread. It's like wannabe bread in the store, right? So you want your sex to be like store-bought fast food bread, or you want your sex to be like homemade bread? You want it dense? You want it packed? You want it to fill you up? You want it to leave you going, oh my God, yes. Or you want to feel like you feel after you eat that or Chinese food where you're still hungry. Right? It's like, I just ate that Chinese. People say all the time, I ate Chinese food. I'm still hungry, man. Like, I'm not full. And sometimes that sex is okay. Right? Sometimes that's cool. I'm not saying you got to walk around having hour marathons of sex. But if that's all the sex you ever have, you haven't even touched the surface of what sex can do for you. All you did was breathe hard, pump hard, and feel 30 seconds of some immense pleasure. That's really all you did. And you're done. 10 minutes. Max, maybe. 5 to 7 is the average. Your vagina didn't even wake up, right? You've heard me say it before. A woman's vagina doesn't wake up for 25 to 45 minutes. She didn't even know what happened. She's like, was someone here? Did we do a thing? So the thing that I took away from the swingers event, homemade for the win, homemade. The thing I took away from the swingers event that I went to was that communication is key. And porn is not the best teacher. Porn is not the best teacher for young women and young men when it comes to learning how to have sex. Porn is great for adults who've had conversations about sex and who are maybe looking for some fantasy or something to add to their sex life, some spice. Maybe they don't want to be swingers, but they want the sound of it, so you turn it on. You got to play it in the background. It just gives you a different vibe. That's cool. But that also means that some communication happened. If no one is talking to young men about how to have sex, and no one's talking to young women about how to have sex, they're gonna have crappy sex. And so much conversation is going on about which gender they should be, how they want to identify with themselves, which parts they want to keep or take away, and no one's talking to them about the parts they already have. Young girls are walking around not liking sex because no one told them that they had a voice and could choose how to have it. Young men aren't taught how they can possibly bring the pleasure. Young women aren't taught how they can bring the pleasure, but people want to have conversations about whether or not you should be in the body or out the body, or what you should call yourself, and all that other stuff. But not talk about, here's what you do with the penis that you do have, or the clitoris that you do have, the yoni that you have, the vulva that you have. your inner, your outer labia, your G spot, your A spot, your U spot. No one's having any conversation, your anus. No one's having conversations with them about this, but we want to talk about giving them consent and consent to be whatever it is they want to be and still have crappy sex with whatever it is that they're having the sex with. Sex is so important. It really is. It is healing. It is filling. It is more than just a stress reliever. It is more than just the fun thing that you do on a Saturday night. There's so many levels and depths and so much depth to it. Communication is key in having the best sex possible. There's no other way to have good sex but to talk about it. If you can't talk about sex, I don't care if you're 13, 17, 32, or 58. If you can't have any conversations about sex or the kind of sex that you want to have, you should not be having any sex. If you can't tell your partner or the person that you're about to engage in, whether it's a one-night stand, a 3-year relationship, or a 27-year marriage, about the type of sex that you want to have, you do not need to be having any sex until you can figure out what kind of sex you like and how to have that conversation. Because what happens is, especially for women who don't talk about sex and then have bad sex, they try to figure out in their mind if that was what they wanted. Did they want that? Was it forced upon them? Did they consent to that? And now there's all these questions running around in their head. Was it all okay? I didn't know he was going to do that. I don't know if I liked it. And now you got other issues popping up. But you didn't talk beforehand. And it's real easy to figure out if you spoke beforehand and you said, no, I don't want any oral sex. Now you're not surprised, if he's like starts to go down, you're like, whoa, we agreed beforehand that there was not going to be any oral sex. But you just start getting hot and heavy because you like him and he's kissing and he's going down. You're like, I don't think I want this. I don't want the oral sex. I just wanted the penetration. But you consented to the sex. You see how it gets funky? Communication is key, especially for us as women. Our bodies, our pleasure. We own it. We own all of it. We own our bodies. We own our pleasure. Sex is not a thing that we give to a man. Sex is not a thing that we do for a man. Sex is a thing that we engage in as part of our pleasurable journey. And we happen to choose this particular individual to engage with. It is not that we are laying back and just taking whatever someone has to offer or giving something away to someone else. We are active participants in this journey. Oh, this is good. Thank you. You're welcome. Someone to teach again. Yeah, Sarah, I cannot actually, I have issues like working with young women. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't connect really well with the teenage population. But I do want to encourage mothers to have these conversations with their sons and their daughters, and I want to encourage fathers to have these conversations with their sons and their daughters, or whoever the guardian is, to give them the tools to do that, because it is important. All right, so that's it for tonight. That's my takeaway from the swingers event. My takeaways are homemade sex versus fast food store-bought sex, always better. Communication is key before, during, and after sex. There's no good sex without communication. I don't give a fuck what your stroke technique is or how good you think your blowjob head game is. I don't care. If you're not talking about it beforehand, or if you're scared to talk about it beforehand, there's bigger issues going on, and you need to just clamp it down until you can figure out how to do that and have sex in a manner that's pleasurable for everyone, and everybody walks away feeling like that was worth my time. That was worth my time. All right, that stroke ain't good to everybody. No, it is not. And the last thing I want to say for women, because the ego thing goes both ways. When it comes to us and oral sex, and I've been guilty of doing this as well. When it comes to us and oral sex, and there's like this race to see how fast we can make a guy come, right? I hope Facebook doesn't ban me for I'm talking about sex, you know. There's a race to see how fast we can do it and we can brag about it. Great. Understand that every time you do that, he's gonna come fast when he's in you too, and that's not gonna make you happy. So instead of trying to like race him to the finish line, take your time with it. Take your time with it. See how long he can last. In the opposite direction. 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Make it pleasurable. Extend the pleasure. If you don't want to do it that long, then why are you doing it? If you're trying to get the oral sex out the way real quick so you could go about the rest of your business, ew, that energy transfers and he can feel that shit. Don't think men don't have emotions. He knows that you only want to be down there for 5 minutes. He doesn't like that. And the same thing for you. What, you want him racing through you too? You want him down there looking quick? Or you want him to extend the pleasure for you, right? So understand that when you have him constantly getting used to coming fast through your blowjobs, then he's going to constantly be coming fast when he's in you because you're training his body to react that way. So if you're thinking you might want it to last longer, and it should, then perhaps you do some different things with him in that area as well. Okay, there's no prize for getting a dude to come fast. Like there's just no prize for that. None. Doesn't mean you got the tightest nothing or the best mouth. What it really means is you're not paying enough attention. See how long you can have him last and enjoy you. How about that? All right. That's it for tonight. You guys are welcome. That's it for tonight. Yeah. And now I'm gonna go rest tonight. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the replay. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.